Do you love cards?
Do you love games?
We guarantee these games will be more fun than 52 card pickup.
Welcome to Wisco Dice. Hey yo folks, I am your host, the Conzi with the most, and I am joined today by...
Hey, I'm Suzanne.
So many of us started playing games with just a basic deck of cards. So it's natural to see board games embrace cards as a tool and a mechanic that so many games use today.
Yes, and of course, when you're getting into board games, there are just so many games out there to choose from that can make it a real challenge to decide which games are worthwhile to add to your collection. Today, we're going to be providing recommendations on 5 great games that embrace cards as part of their core mechanic. Before we get started in these games, please take a minute to like and subscribe to this channel so we know to keep creating more content like this for you.
And it's important for us to note that this list is not in any given order or preference or anything else that would let you think that we think these games are in an order that's preferred to purchase or acquire. More so, we're trying to give you 5 good recommendations for someone who's new to board games and new to collecting games, that really likes the idea of playing some games with cards, the ability to have some good recommendations for games that have cards in them. With that, let's go ahead and roll into our list of 5 games with cards as the core mechanics.
So all of these games we have use cards in a different way. Our first game is Mystic Vale by AEG, and this is a card crafting game. So what you are doing throughout the game is you are acquiring cards that you're going to add to card sleeves to make your card more powerful or give it let it work in different ways for you. So you're going to kind of build your strategy that way. And each turn you're going to play cards into your field to gain other powerful advancements, and these cards that you're going to craft into something, hopefully really cool and that you're going to be looking forward to drawing. So Mystic Vale is, it's definitely simple rules, but as you get into what you can make with your cards and the strategy, it can get more complex the more you play it.
Yeah, it really uses these clear, transparent cards that just have the changes that get upgraded to your existing cards that you have in your deck, so that you're crafting, you're creating your cards over the course of the game, and it's a really neat, interesting kind of twist on the deck building concept, and it's awesome that they've used this and reused this in several other games after this. All of them are fun, but Mystic Vale is kind of that classic one that really introduced the card crafting mechanic, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this game.
And the artwork's kind of cute on it,
Artwork's
too.
great.
Not like childish cute, just enjoyable. So that was Mystic Vale by AEG.
The next game we wanted to talk about is Codenames from Chex Games Edition, or CGE. And Codenames is a classic group party game / word game / card game. So basically what you're going to build is a grid of 5x5 cards that each have an individual word on it, and then you will split the room of players into 2 teams. Each team assigns 1 player to be the spy master, and all of the other players form the rest of the team. The spy master from each team gets to see a single card that tells them which cards their team in the 5x5 grid need to choose, and which cards the enemy team, and then which one card is the assassin card, and if either team picks that card, they auto lose the game. This is not only a great doorbuster game for a game day, or a nice icebreaker game for a group of players who have maybe not necessarily met each other before. It's good for families, it's good for kids, it's good for almost every environment. It's an absolutely brilliant game. cards. The only thing that when you open up the box, really almost the only thing that's in the box is just this box full of cards. Most of them just have a single word written on them. And cards are really the core of the mechanic, even though this is a really neat word game as well.
Yeah, it's a word association game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I have found with playing this with Conzi is it has kind of helped us build on our communication skills and understanding of how each other thinks. So, when you're playing with a group of people, if you don't know them that well, by the end of this game, you're going to kind of have an idea of how their mind works a little bit with thinking about, when you see the word black, what do you think of it? When you see the word dragon, what do you think of it? Um, so it's a nice game to just kind of help you
And it's
get to
quick.
know people.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a
Oh
quick
my
game.
gosh, it's
So
super
it
quick.
doesn't. You can play it 2-3 times. As a like I said, a door breaker. While you're waiting for other people to show up for game day, and once you've gotten 4 people together, anybody can just kind of join that game or whatever, and you
Yep.
just play again a couple times until everybody arrives for game day, and then you can break into whatever tables and groups you need to. So it's a
game.
perfect game for that. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was Codenames by CGE. The next one on our list is a deck building game. It's called Ascension. It's by Stoneblade Entertainment. I absolutely love this game. There are 15 different versions of it, and each version has its own little different mechanic that's with it. But in all of them, you are starting with this deck of basically weapons and money, currency cards, and you are trying to defeat monsters and build, and then also buy cards to build a deck that will help you defeat more difficult monsters and do other things to gain points. And there's different factions in each of them, so you can kind of build upon that. You have this little engine going. But for me, it's just a really fun deck builder.
Yeah, and it's a race to score those victory points for sure. All the cards that you acquire through the game have some level of points on them. There are point tokens as well, and that's one of the basically the measure for the way the game ends is when that game token supply runs out. That's when the game ticks down. Of course, you can still get more game tokens for scoring points at the end of the game. To get a turn or whatever after they run out. But yeah, it's a great game, and I love it. It plays really well at 2. I've played it well at 4 players. It's a great game. It's not horribly complex. You can see everybody can see what's available to purchase. You can you just basically, hey, it's my turn. What can I afford to buy? You buy that card, or hey, what can I afford to defeat? You defeat that card, and then it's the next player's turn, and you just keep going around and around the table until somebody wins. It's straightforward, simple, but a lot of fun.
Yes, and that is Ascension by Stoneblade Entertainment.
So far, we've talked about card crafting, we've talked about deck building, we've talked about word games with cards. So we've had a lot of different kind of neat twists on the card game mechanic. And this next one is also a game that I consider revolutionary in the way it implemented this mechanic. I don't think it was the first game to the market with this mechanic, but that game is Seven Wonders from Repos Productions. And this game is a card drafting game. So basically, each round, players will have a hand of cards. They will select one card from that group of cards that they're handed, and then pass either to their left or right, and just rinse and repeat. And once they've selected a card out of that hand of cards that they're going to play, everybody reveals that card simultaneously, and they do either pay to play the card and keep that card as part of their tableau in front of them, or they get to use that card to build their wonder, or they can sell that card for cash. So really interesting game. Really only one resource, the card coin tokens to the game, besides the wonder boards that the player boards are. And just it's such a straightforward way to take that card drafting mechanic and really zero in on it as a core fundamental card game mechanic in the game, and yet allow the game to just have this nice play. I can't remember. I can't tell you the amount of times when we first discovered Seven Wonders the amount of times it hit the table, it was played constantly. We loved playing that game. I still enjoy playing that
Yeah.
game. It just at this point, I think we played it so many times when we first got it that it maybe is a little harder to get to the table, but it's definitely
Maybe.
it's like that core. It's just so satisfying when you play.
Yeah, and it is a game that our daughter requested specifically the next time she's home from school that we get out to play is Seven Wonders because she does enjoy it. And it's one that you can play it, once, and then when you go to pick it up, even if it's a year later, you kind of still remember how to play it. You don't have to necessarily go through all the rules again. It is language independent, so it's just the iconography on the cards that tell you what you need to do with them. So that is really nice.
If there was any single ding against Seven Wonders, it's the fact that it requires a minimum of 3 players to play. And it definitely plays better when you add more players in.
So that is Seven Wonders by Repost Production. And that brings us to our fifth and last game for today. This is, when you look at it, it looks more like a traditional card game that you would think of where you just have a deck of cards. But this is Flux. We own 4 different versions of Flux, so that can kind of tell you how much we do enjoy this game.
Somebody really loves Flux.
Flux is awesome. And there are just a multitude of versions out there to fit whatever your interest is, and each one is going to play slightly different. This game has been around since 1997 is when it was first introduced with basic Flux, and they're still producing new versions of it. Did you know it's been around that long?
Oh yeah. I remember this being on game store shelves when I was first getting into Dungeons and Dragons and learning about games.
It's cool. You can travel with it because it's just in a deck of cards, in a box, and the game is very simple when it starts out. You have a couple cards in your hand, and you draw a card, and then you play a card, and that's all you do. That's the only rule for the game at the beginning. But as you start playing,
there's no
those
rules
cards,
to even win the game. That's it.
Yep, there's no rules. There's no rule out there to win the game yet. But as you play cards, you're gonna play cards that will adjust the rules and adjust the win conditions and affect other players. You might think you're winning, and then all of a sudden it's a tables turn, and oh my gosh, you're not winning now. So it can be quick or it can be long, but it's just a fun little game, I think, to just kind of play, and it can be kind of silly and everything. So
I think my favorite version of Flux is Zombie Flux.
oh yes, most definitely.
At least the ones I've played so far. But yeah, I mean, playing the rules and adjusting the rules really, hey, draw 3, play 1. Hey, hand size 3. Well, that's great to play when somebody's sitting there hoarding all the cards. There's so many different little ways that this game just evolves and changes every time you play it. It just changes and gets very different from play to play. It's a cool little classic game. Like I said, it travels well. It plays. It's always a very interesting play experience, and plays. I think it plays better when you have 3 or 4 people at the table to play it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then the rules and the winning mechanics get start getting a little bit more wild and crazy, and things get a little more hectic. But it's a great game.
It's a great game. So that is Flux.
Well, that gets us through the list of 5 games. And that really was a pretty wild group of games. So many different mechanics. I couldn't believe how many different mechanics and different themes and focuses were on leveraging cards. And we just had 5 completely different card games, all using cards so much differently with so many unique mechanisms. And it's crazy to see how many games in our collection leverage cards. But those are 5, I think, that really stand out to me as being those games that are clutch for a beginner coming into this hobby to take a look at and see if those are games that are right for you and likely are going to get a lot of replayability for you and your game group, as well as being able to get to the table and continue getting to the table years from now as you continue to build and grow your collection and learn more about board gaming.
Yep, and those are 5 games that I don't see us getting rid of anytime soon. And one thing that maybe you caught on to it as we were going through it, but for the most part, they all have expansions or different versions of them to fit your interests a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video so we know to keep creating more games to add to your collection, and tune in next month to see what we have in store for you.
Yep. And if you have liked this video as well, you can just click the card right above right now to check out more games that are great for the beginner board gamer. Hey there, it's Conesy. Thank you so much for watching. We put out videos weekly here at Wisco Dice. Check out our channel for more great videos and don't forget to subscribe. We also have more great content on our website at wiscodice.com. Of course, we do this all for you, the viewers. So please like the video if you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.